My goals for this speech especially focus around making sure that I gesture to my visual aids, because sometimes I kind of forget about them behind me. So I want to make sure that I incorporate them into my speech by gesturing to them. Also, I want to make sure that the audience knows how excited I am about the subject matter, because it is something I've made a personal decision about. With Thanksgiving right around the corner, many of you are probably anticipating your family's large Thanksgiving meal, complete with the ultimate American tradition, the turkey as the main course. Well, I too am anticipating my Thanksgiving meal. However, my main course will be rice pilaf with grilled vegetables and garlic roasted tofu. While a diet rich in eggs and meat has been the American tradition, this tradition is now changing. In fact, many people state health as the reason why. The American Dietetic Association stated that vegetarianism is not only healthful and adequate, but in fact it also helps in the prevention of certain diseases. 5 years ago, I made the decision to become a vegetarian. Vegetarianism is a large part of who I am today. In order to help you understand this, I will first tell you why I made the decision to become a vegetarian, then tell you how this decision affected not only my life, but my family as well. And finally, I'll tell you how this decision continues to affect my life today. Well, I became a vegetarian for several different reasons. One of these was my childhood experiences. I was raised on a ranch with many different animals, and one of my most memorable pets was my pet cow named Charlie. Well, Charlie's mother died during his birth, so I bottle-fed him and essentially raised him by my own 2 hands. Well, one day I sat down to dinner, and Charlie was the steak on my plate. This was particularly instrumental in helping me change my mind about eating meat. Well, then I kept finding more and more research that stated that vegetarianism was not only healthy, but in fact more healthy than eating meat. One such book is A Diet for a New America by John Robbins. In this book, John Robbins stated that meat is not healthy as we've been led to believe. And in fact, meat is not a sufficient food source. And finally, I was able to make this transition from eating meat to vegetarianism because of a book by Christine Beard entitled Becoming a Vegetarian in 5 Easy Steps. These 5 steps stated first, chart what you eat now. Then, categorize your diet. Third, rethink these categories to make them more healthy. Fourth, add new foods to supplement these categories. And fifth, and finally, make the change. Well, the decision to become a vegetarian not only affected my life, it affected my family as well. I made the decision to become a vegetarian about the same time I left for college. My family was already undergoing many different growing pains and transitions because of this, and this decision seemed to only add to the tension. First of all, my family felt betrayed. Because my father was a rancher in particular, he had a difficult time understanding why I chose to leave meat out of my diet. And my grandparents, while more sympathetic, still worried that I would become anemic because they believed a lot of the different myths available about vegetarianism. But my family, as they began to learn more about vegetarianism and about how healthy it can be, they began to accept more my decision. And one of the things that was instrumental in them learning and then becoming to accept my decision was the Vegetarian Food Guide Pyramid. What you see here is the traditional food guide pyramid that you're raised with from elementary school to middle school, even through high school. It's the USDA Food Guide Pyramid as found on their website. It divides the foods into different categories necessary to maintain a healthy diet, and then shows you how many different servings of each you need to have. However, this is the Vegetarian Food Guide Pyramid. It does the same. It divides the food into categories necessary to maintain a healthy diet, and then shows you how many servings of each are necessary. This was really helpful in showing my parents and my grandparents that I could eat vegetarian while still having a healthy diet that gets a distribution of each category of the food. And finally, as my family began to accept my new diet, you could tell because they began to make new meal options that they incorporated into the family meals that were vegetarian. And one of these different meal options was the vegetarian pie, tamale pie. And I'll distribute a copy of these ingredients in this recipe following this speech. My grandmother got this recipe from the Vegetarian Times magazine on January 1999. Well, I'm glad that my family adjusted to my decision, but this choice still affects my life today. There are many disadvantages as well as advantages to being vegetarian. For the disadvantages, the number one disadvantage is definitely limited food options when going out to eat. especially fast food. At McDonald's and Burger King, I'm essentially restricted to eating only a salad and drinking a Coke. And formal dining options are not much better. Another area where my options are limited is the grocery store. While our society is making the transition over to a healthier and more vegetarian lifestyle, the options are still limited in our grocery stores. But regardless of these disadvantages, there are numerous advantages as well. A low-fat diet has been stated by research time and time again. A low-fat diet is more healthy. And in fact, Marion Nestle, chair of the nutrition department at New York University, stated there is no question that largely vegetarian diets are as healthy as you can get. And Walter Willett, chair of the nutrition department at Harvard, stated a diet rich in fruit and vegetables plays a role in decreasing the risk of all major causes of illness and death, found in the Nutrition Action newsletter of October 1999. A second benefit is the fact that vegetables cost less than meat. And as poor, broke college students, most of us can understand this. Noreen Dworkin stated in April 1999 Vegetarian Times that replacing meat with vegetables and fruits can cut food bills by approximately $4,000 per year. And the third benefit is the personal satisfaction I gain from knowing that my lifestyle matches my beliefs. Although it hasn't been easy to make this decision, it's been worth the struggle because it's true to who I am. Now you can understand why a vegetarian lifestyle is so important to me by first understanding why I made these decisions, then understanding that this decision not only affected my life but affected my family as well, and finally by understanding how it continues to affect my life today. As a vegetarian, I discovered a world of food that I didn't even know existed. And believe me, this Thanksgiving, my mouth will be watering too as I sit down to my main course of rice pilaf, grilled vegetables, and garlic roasted tofu. Okay, for this speech, what I did do well, I thought, was that I remembered to use motivated movement, and I remembered to gesture to the screen, which was something I was really kind of worried that I'd forget to do. Another thing I did was I think I portrayed how excited I was about the subject matter. As for things I could improve on, I felt like I should have probably slowed down some, because in some spots I felt myself get a little too fast, maybe. And another thing I could work on was I felt a little awkward with the projector, so maybe I could make sure that I come in and practice with it next time, a couple times before I actually have to give my speech. But overall, I feel like I did really well.